Why humans act strange around cats. There is something slightly ridiculous about the way humans behave around cats. People whisper around them, they apologize to them, they ask them permission before moving them off a chair they technically do not own. Sometimes a fully grown adult will stop mid-conversation because a cat entered the room looking sleepy. And suddenly the tone changes. Softer voice, different face, different posture, like the brain switched modes without asking first. Our orange tabby cat Moomoon does this to people constantly. He is not even trying most of the time. He just exists in a room and somehow the atmosphere changes around him. There are moments where he curls himself into a tight ball under a blanket and genuinely looks less like a predator and more like an abandoned stuffed animal somebody forgot on the couch years ago. Then somebody checks whether he is warm enough, which, if you stop and think about it for more than 5 seconds, is strange behavior. Cats are hunters, small ones, yes, but still hunters, yet humans react to them with this almost automatic softness that feels older than logic, and it probably is. Before the internet, humans loved cats long before memes. People often talk about cats as if the attachment is modern internet culture. Cat memes, viral videos, tiny birthday hats, things like that. But humans were emotionally attached to cats long before cameras existed, long before electricity. The internet amplified it. It did not create it. Something deeper is happening underneath all this. The face that triggers caregiving instincts. Part of it starts with the face, not metaphorically, literally, the face. In the 1940s, Austrian scientist Konrad Lorenz proposed the idea of baby schema, a set of physical traits that trigger caregiving instincts in humans. Large eyes, rounded features, small noses, soft proportions, things associated with infants. The theory was simple enough. Human babies are unusually helpless compared to many animals, so humans evolved strong automatic reactions toward infant-like features because survival depended on it. And cats, especially kittens, happen to hit a surprising number of those visual triggers almost perfectly. You can see it immediately when a kitten stares upward at someone. Oversized eyes, tiny face, small body, trying to look larger than it really is. The brain reacts fast to that. Too fast sometimes. There are people who genuinely dislike animals and still instinctively soften when holding a kitten. Their voice changes before they even notice it happening. Moomoon as a kitten. Our cat, Moomoon the orange tabby, did this when he was small. He used to sit near the hallway and stare upward silently whenever someone walked by. No meowing, no dramatic behavior, just staring. And people would pick him up almost every single time. Not because he asked, because something in the human brain interpreted him as needing care. That distinction matters more than people think. A lot of human interaction with cats happens before rational thought fully catches up, which might explain why people talk to cats like babies, despite fully understanding they are not babies. There is no confusion there. People know exactly what cats are. Still happens anyway. And cats seem strangely good at encouraging it. Why cats meow differently around humans. Adult cats rarely meow at each other in natural environments. Most meowing developed mainly around humans. That part surprises people. Domestic cats meow constantly around humans, but much less around other adult cats. Researchers believe the modern domestic meow became heavily shaped around human response patterns. Some studies even suggest certain cat vocalizations resemble frequencies found in human infant cries. Not identical, obviously, but similar enough to trigger attention. That is hard for humans to ignore because humans are built to notice distressed infant sounds quickly. So a cat meows, a human responds, food appears, attention appears, comfort appears, then the cycle repeats thousands of times across generations. How humans start translating cats emotionally. Eventually, humans start emotionally translating cats almost the same way parents interpret babies. This meow means hunger. This one means attention. This one sounds irritated. This one sounds lonely. People start building emotional language around the cat. Moomoon has a very specific sound he makes around dawn. Not loud, more like a short questioning noise, soft enough that it almost sounds hesitant. Everybody in the house reacts to it differently from his normal meowing. That is the weird part. Humans unconsciously assign emotional meaning to subtle differences in cat vocalizations almost immediately after bonding with them. Maybe the cat intended it that way, maybe not. Hard to say honestly. A lot of this relationship exists in interpretation. Why humans respond so strongly to large eyes? Humans are very good at emotionally interpreting things with eyes, especially large eyes. Researchers studying facial proportions in cats found humans consistently rated certain feline facial structures as cuter depending on eye shape and infant-like proportions. Again, not really shocking once you think about it. Humans react strongly to vulnerable-looking faces, probably always have. The same thing appears everywhere else too. Cartoons, toys, animated characters, even car designs sometimes. Round shapes, large headlights resembling eyes, soft curves. People repeatedly create objects that accidentally resemble babies because the brain responds positively to those features before logic gets involved. Cats just naturally fit into that pattern unusually well, and unlike many animals, they stay relatively small and juvenile-looking throughout adulthood, so the response does not disappear once they mature. An adult cat can still trigger some of the same instincts as a kitten. That probably helps explain why people wrap 30-pound dogs in jackets too, honestly. But cats seem especially effective at it because they remain physically compact and visually soft for most of their lives. Why cat affection feels different? Then there is the behavior. Cats are independent enough to remain interesting. That part matters more than people admit. Dogs are emotionally straightforward most of the time, very expressive, easy to read. Cats are less predictable. A cat may ignore someone all afternoon, then suddenly climb directly into their lap and fall asleep there as if absolute trust exists in that exact moment. That unpredictability changes how affection feels psychologically. Intermittent affection tends to create stronger emotional reinforcement. Humans often value selective attention more intensely than constant attention, which may explain why some people become almost obsessed with earning affection from cats. There is something emotionally rewarding about being chosen by a creature that does not appear eager to please everybody equally. The parental response people develop toward cats. Moomoon does this constantly too. Sometimes he disappears for hours and clearly wants nothing to do with anyone. Then later, he quietly appears beside somebody on the couch, pushes his head into their arm once, circles twice, and falls asleep there. Nobody in the room stays emotionally neutral after that, and the response becomes oddly parental very quickly. People check whether he ate enough, whether he seems cold, whether he is sleeping too much, whether he looks stressed. The structure of the relationship starts resembling caregiving almost automatically. Psychologists studying human-pet relationships have found many owners genuinely categorize pets as family members psychologically, not metaphorically, literally. That changes behavior. A person may intellectually understand a cat is an animal while emotionally processing it as part dependent, part companion, part child. Modern life made cats even more important. Modern life probably intensified that. People spend more time alone now, more remote work, smaller households, less direct community interaction in daily life. Cats fill emotional space very effectively because they provide presence without demanding constant social performance. That is important. Human relationships are complicated, exhausting sometimes. Cats are simpler in certain ways, not emotionally shallow, just quieter. A cat sitting nearby while someone works late at night changes the feeling of a room. Anybody who has lived with cats for years understands that instinctively, even if they struggle explaining it clearly. There were evenings where Moomoon climbed into somebody's lap during stressful moments, and the atmosphere shifted almost immediately, not dramatically. Nobody bursts into tears in documentary slow motion, nothing cinematic like that, just quieter breathing, lower tension, a softer room. The effect is subtle enough that people often underestimate how emotionally important it becomes over time. Ancient Egypt and the strange status of cats. Ancient societies noticed something unusual about cats too. Ancient Egypt is the most famous example, though probably not the only one. Cats occupied a strange position there, part practical, part symbolic, part emotional. They protected grain stores from rodents and snakes, which already made them useful, but usefulness alone does not fully explain the level of reverence they eventually received. Cats appeared in household art, beside families, inside homes. Some were mummified after death. Historical accounts describe mourning rituals for cats. Killing one could carry severe punishment, which says something interesting about how emotionally embedded cats had already become thousands of years ago. Civilizations changed afterward, religions changed, political systems changed. Humans still kept treating cats differently from most animals. Not fully sacred, not fully ordinary either. Even now, cats occupy this strange middle category emotionally. Independent but comforting, aloof but intimate, calm one moment and deeply affectionate the next. Humans keep projecting meaning onto them, partly because cats leave enough emotional ambiguity for interpretation, and humans are uncomfortable leaving emotional ambiguity empty, so people fill the gaps. The internet turned cats into an industry. That probably explains internet cat culture too. The internet did not invent human attachment to cats. It multiplied exposure to the triggers already there. Tiny paws, sleepy faces, clumsy movement, unexpected behavior. The internet basically industrialized cuteness, and humans responded massively. Entire industries formed around cats. Luxury food, designer furniture, pet insurance, birthday parties, custom strollers, medical procedures costing thousands of dollars. Humans still kept treating cats differently from most animals. Not fully sacred, not fully ordinary either. Even now, cats occupy this strange middle category emotionally. Independent but comforting, aloof but intimate, calm one moment and deeply affectionate the next. Humans keep projecting meaning onto them, partly because cats leave enough emotional ambiguity for interpretation, and humans are uncomfortable leaving emotional ambiguity empty, so people fill the gaps. From a purely economic perspective, the emotional value humans place on companion animals now is enormous. Because for many people, cats stopped feeling emotionally optional a long time ago. They became woven into routines and identity. People schedule vacations around them, reject apartments that do not allow them, decline invitations because the cat is sick. And grief after losing a cat can feel devastating in ways some outsiders still underestimate. Probably because outsiders sometimes misunderstand the structure of the bond itself. The attachment is not processed emotionally as ownership, it is processed more like family attachment. Do cats actually love humans? There is another uncomfortable question underneath all this though. Do cats actually love humans back? That debate never really ends. Cats clearly form social bonds. They recognize familiar humans, prefer certain people, seek proximity, show distress during separation in some studies. But cats express attachment differently from dogs. Their affection is quieter, sometimes almost indirect, slow blinking, sleeping nearby, following someone silently from room to room without interacting. Tiny behaviors that become emotionally huge once attachment exists. Moomoon waits outside bathroom doors sometimes, not scratching, not crying, just sitting there silently until somebody comes out. Objectively, that behavior means very little. Emotionally, it means quite a lot to the humans watching it, and maybe that is part of what makes all relationships work anyway. Human relationships also rely heavily on interpretation. People constantly assign meaning to small gestures. So even if humans project emotions onto cats sometimes, that does not necessarily make the attachment fake. Cats and humans built a communication system good enough for emotional bonds to survive across species lines, which is honestly kind of incredible when you step back and look at it long enough. The strange ending to an evolutionary story. A small predator evolved near farming settlements thousands of years ago because rodents were eating grain. And now people whisper around sleeping cats so they do not wake them up too suddenly. That is a very strange evolutionary outcome. Not bad strange, just strange. And the conclusion people usually want here is something neat and perfectly wrapped together. Some final statement explaining exactly why humans treat cats like babies. But honestly, part of the reason this relationship works so well is probably because it stays slightly unresolved. Cats are dependent but independent, affectionate but unpredictable, comforting but still vaguely wild around the edges. Humans keep responding to them emotionally because the relationship never becomes fully explainable. Moomoon asleep under a blanket while somebody checks whether he is warm enough. A completely ordinary moment now, still objectively odd if you think about it carefully enough. Maybe humans do not just love cats because they resemble babies. Maybe humans love them because cats allow people to express caregiving instincts in a form that feels emotionally safe, quiet, uncomplicated. Or maybe that explanation is already too clean. Sometimes the cat is just asleep on the couch and somebody instinctively lowers their voice near him, and somehow that alone says enough. Thank you for watching Purrs Academy. Until our next video, don't forget to subscribe.